I'd like to introduce the former governor of Maryland and someone who's had a very large influence in adopting one of the most publicly transparent administrations in the nation's history. Starting with city stat when he was the mayor of Baltimore, to state stat when he was the governor, his administration set a new course for public transparency and public engagement. And with that, it's a great pleasure. Let me introduce Governor O'Malley. Governor, over to you.
Terry, thanks very, very much for that kind introduction. It's an honor to be here, not only with you, but also with Jack Dangermond and to all of the men and women that are on this call, on this gathering, whose responsibility it is to make sure our fellow Americans get safely from point A to point B. So I want to share with you a couple of thoughts. And as I do, I also want to thank Esri for publishing my book. It's entitled Smarter Government. And it has in its pages everything I think I know and that I think I learned from 15 years of executive service on behalf of the people of Baltimore and then the people of Maryland as their governor. So let's begin, okay? Here we go. So let's get started. Title of my little talk with all of you today is called Smarter Government, Delivering Results for All to See. I have come to the conclusion that there is a balance, a symmetry, if you will, between how well we govern ourselves and how much we're capable of trusting one another. And right now, our country is coming through a period of greatly diminished trust. It's a lack of trust, according to Gallup polling, the likes of which we've never seen in terms of American trust in their national government. And yet, at the state and local level, the level of trust is actually slightly higher now than it was 20 years ago. So why is that? I think it has to do with the better job that so many of you are doing with using the technology and the tools of this era to better serve people. But make no mistake about it, trust is as essential to the life of a democracy as oxygen is to life on our planet. So I want to talk with you about a new way of governing. I want to share with you one insight, 3 shifts, and also a true story. Over 50 years ago, Robert Kennedy said that it's from the numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. This is that famous ripple of hope quotes. He said that each time a person stands up for others or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope. Well, that was true when Bobby Kennedy said it over 50 years ago, but it's not so true today. Why? Why is it not so true today? It's because those diverse acts of courage and belief are no longer numberless. In fact, they can all be numbered. They can be numbered, they can be placed on a map, they can be measured. We can tell you not only how many ripples there are, but how many ripples it'll take to rise up to that sustained wave of change that makes progress possible. What I'm talking about is something that all of us take for granted now, especially when it comes to traveling from point A to point B. This is a screenshot of my commute from congested Baltimore in the morning to Washington, D.C. when I was teaching at Georgetown. My neighbors in Baltimore would say, oh, you can't get from here to there at that time of the day. But what would I do? I'd simply do what all of us do. Punch in the address, pleasant sounding female voice tells me which way to go. And if there's an accident along the way, I'm told a quicker route is available. GIS, Geographic Information Systems, and the Internet of Things. This is the one insight. The coming together of these two technologies has happened so fast and so quickly that our adult children think that it's been here forever. But this is actually a big, brave new tool for self-governing people. Never before in human history have we had the ability to model, measure, and map dynamic human and natural systems real time in ways that all can see. And that is ushering in a whole new way of getting things done. Many of you are probably familiar with this map, Esri map, by the way. It was put together by folks at Johns Hopkins, including Beth Blower, formerly of my state administration. I mean, the notion, that we could see anywhere on the planet where COVID cases were rising, whether it was spiking, whether we were bending the curve, phrases like the actions of individuals affect the well-being of the whole. All of this is the language of this new way of governing. If the old ways were bureaucratic, command and control, top down, this new way of governing is entrepreneurial, it is performance measured, it is interactive, and it is collaborative. At the NYPD in New York 20 years ago, they pioneered this in public safety and called it ComStat. In Baltimore, we won the Innovations in Government from the Kennedy School at Harvard for our creation of CityStat with 311, one phone number for all city services on the front end. At the state level, we called it StateStat. Whatever name, at whatever level, the tenets of this new way of governing are always the same. Timely, accurate information shared by all. Rapid deployment of resources, effective tactics and strategies, and relentless follow-up and assessment, which I'm going to come back to in a second. Public goals with public deadlines on a dashboard that everybody can intuitively understand. Oh, you mean people in management can understand? No, I mean everyone. Every citizen of the state should be able to see the same view of whether we're making progress or not in accomplishing our strategic goals. Public facing. But old ways die hard. So there's 3 shifts, and each of you is capable of bringing about these shifts in your own organization. And make no mistake about it, leadership matters. The technology alone won't make it happen. Leaders make it happen with these new technologies. So 3 important shifts. The first shift is for effective leadership. Instead of thinking as the leader, as the man or woman at the top of that pyramid on the left, sitting high atop, the command and control, where everything is commanded, everything is controlled, including information. That was yesterday. In the information age, the place of situational and positional advantage for the leader is no longer to sit high atop that tower of authority. Instead, it's to place him or herself in the center of that collaborative circle on the right, as close to the latest emerging truth as possible. The reality of what's happening, where, and when. The science of where. Second shift. Second shift is for effective management. And that is to realize that our world is no longer a world where complex and difficult things are accomplished simply by command and control. Don't get me wrong. You still need a chain of command. But difficult things are only accomplished by large organizations through shared understanding, namely the shared understanding that makes collaboration happen. So that's the second shift, from command and control to collaboration. The third shift is for effective teamwork. We have long had a practice of looking at the world and what we do through the lens of annual budgets. But that's not really what drives the leading actions that accomplish the big goals. So the shift is from annual budgets to bi-weekly or a monthly cadence of collaboration and follow-up, focused on actions based on the latest and most reliable data. That repeating cadence of collaboration was something that we did for the 7 years that I was mayor. Every 2 weeks on a rotating basis, 10 different departments and their command staffs came together with me and my command staff in the city stat room. And for one blessed hour, we'd lock outside the door the whirlwind of urgent things, the crisis of the day, the scandal of the day, and we'd focus for 1 hour on solid waste. At the end of that 1 hour, they would leave the room. 15 minutes later, housing commissioner and her command staff would come in. We'd focus on housing issues. Cadence of collaboration. People work against 2-year deadlines. They don't work against annual deadlines. Today, many transportation departments are leading the way with this new way of governing. Early on, it was police departments and then cities with the adoption of 311. But today, it's transportation departments. I want to share with you a true story. In fact, the protagonist in this true story is a man you'll hear from next, and that is Jack Dangermond. So, true story, repairing roads and bridges. Many of us remember back in 2007, the collapse of Minnesota's I-35 West Bridge. Moms and dads plunging to their deaths on a commute in rush hour on a bridge that everybody should have known was in urgent need of repair, or perhaps even needed to be closed. So we had a meeting of the National Governors Association, and there, present at that meeting, as they are at all governors' meetings, was Esri and Jack Dangermond. He came up to me with his laptop and he said, "You have to get me a meeting with Governor Ed Rendell of Pennsylvania, who I know is your leading advocate for greater investments in infrastructure. I want to show him a new bridge app that we've made." And I said, that's going to be difficult because Governor Rendell has perfected the mayoral short attention span to just 45 seconds as governor. So long story short, I bring a grousing Governor Rendell into a corner with Jack Dangermond and his laptop. He flips it up and I said, "Jack, you have 45 seconds. He puts up the first slide on the screen. And with the click of the button, he says, each of these green dots represents one of the bridges in the state of Minnesota. Second click. So now with open data shared by all, I have color-coded the dots to show the structural integrity in a simple red light to green light fashion. Green is strong, red is really weak, the yellow and the orange shades in between in terms of how structurally strong or weak the bridge is. Third click. Now, also with open data and traffic counts, I've changed the size of these dots. So you see certain targets emerge reflecting how many human beings depend upon the safety of any individual bridge every single day. So you can see certain targets emerge. And then he said, now finally, I want to show you, again with open data, where the federal dollars land for keeping the bridges in good repair. And with that fourth click, Governor Rendell looked at the screen and he said, none of the dollars are landing on the targets. To which Jack Dangermond said, no, but they're all landing on the map. They're all landing on the map. It's the common platform for a self-governing people. Put the resources, limited though they might be, where they can do the greatest good for the most people. This is a slide. I've been able to work with a number of state and local governments these last few years with Grant Thornton, an awesome firm. And this is from Mike Barba, a real genius there. And this is how he talks about predictive analytics in this context, in the context that I know that many of you understand. How do we reduce traffic fatalities to zero? You have the business value going up the left side, level of sophistication on the right. Most people never get beyond the first step, which is descriptive. How many accidents occurred this week and where? Next step, knowing that, diagnostic. What are the causes of the accidents? When and where? Then predictive. So how many accidents, based on what we now know, will occur next week? When and where? And finally, prescriptive. So what are the actions we can take today and tomorrow in order to prevent accidents in these places? Where and when? Grant Thornton's also done some great work at with the Utah Department of Transportation, creating a multi-paged hub sites with fatal accident analysis for pedestrians, motorcyclists, petacyclists, we used to call it, and also their big goals in Utah: reduce fatalities, preserve infrastructure, optimize mobility, common platform, timely, accurate information shared by all, relentless follow-up, communication, coordination, collaboration, We've done the same thing with Grant Thornton in Hawaii with the Hawaii Department of Transportation. And we're recently one of the two finalists in California when they went out for firms that could help them with their transportation asset management system, the MAP. If we only knew what we already knew and did something about it. Really cool work. So conclusion, start and don't stop. Most people frustrated at bringing forward this new way of governing, delivering results, and getting things done fail by either not starting or by giving up after their first meeting or two. So start and don't stop. Set a repeating cadence of collaboration and accountability. Make decisions based on timely, accurate information shared by all. It's all about delivering better results for the people we serve, right? And if we can't deliver better results, there's not much hope for democracy. It's all about delivering better results for the people that we serve. If we can't deliver better results, there's really not much point in having a government or democracy in any event. It's all about delivering results. And the planet and the democracy you save just might be your own. Thanks a lot.